Hello, everyone. Good evening, and welcome once again to our Biorisk Assessment and Awareness webinar. Yesterday evening, we started off on a very great start with our friend and our colleague, MLS Jibril. And I'm sure we made some good progress yesterday as it showed us the difference between biorisks, biomanagement, mentioned terms like biosecurity, mitigation, the intentional and unintentional exposure to biological materials. And though he mentioned some things we already know, today we'll be learning much more. Our friend today is Mr. Adedamola Oyekole, who will be taking the second lap of the Biorisk Management Awareness Training. Like I mentioned yesterday, this webinar is in no way an exhaustive cover of Biorisk management, but of course it is enough as an introduction to the basics of this all-important topic. It's been made as simplified as possible because we understand that some of the people that will be participating here are not just medical or healthcare professionals. Some of us are in the other form of support staff, like either drivers or dispatchers, logistics officers, and so on and so forth. But one way or the other, because we are part of the healthcare delivery team, our efforts, have a role that they play. Adedamola is an expert in this area, and he'll be talking about himself when he comes on board. I recently found out that he's been invited as one of the guests to the YMLS forum that will be holding in the month of August. One of the times we had a collaboration together, he was part of the team that did a Biorisk assessment training for medical laboratory scientists in private healthcare facilities because they had secured a grant from the Zambian National Laboratories to do this training. And it was a well-packaged 3-day workshop. And then we thought it wise to extend the reach of this all-important topic to medical laboratory scientists beyond just those who could be part of that 3-day workshop. Please join me as I welcome our speaker for this evening, Mr. Adedamola Oyekole. Over to you, sir. Good evening, sir.
Okay. I'm trying to pick up yesterday. All right. Okay, good evening, everyone. Thank you, Bina. Thank you, EHA Clinics, for this platform. I don't take it for granted at all. Jubran and I are so grateful for having this platform to reach out to as many professionals as possible. I'm sure that more people are going to join as we proceed. So I'm going to share my screen, and at a point in time, I'm going to stop that and then show you a video, and then I will need you to pay so much attention very well so that we'll be able to grasp everything that needs to be learned in this very important training. Yeah, so I am excited to be here, and I'm sure you are equally excited. So, yeah, sure. Kindly confirm that you can see my screen.
Yes, we can see your screen. Maybe you can change to slide share.
Yeah, it's on slide share now. So, if you're on air, definition about safety, any of the participants, please. So, Aliso and Young Utum, you can raise your hand down. But I need some response at the chat. Definition about safety, definition about security. This class is expected to be very, very interactive. So please, definition about safety, definition about security. Am I being heard at all? I need to be sure. I'm just.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah, I need the definition about security from the participants, please. We just need that we are sure that we're actually passing across knowledge. Okay, I can see unintentional exposure to biological material, application of safety precaution that reduce a laboratory risk. Biosecurity is a protection control put in place. That's a continuous definition. You're not yet done. Yeah, but yes, yeah, this makes a lot of sense. Yeah, so there are practices or procedures I have put in place to ensure unintentional exposure to biological material. Yes, that's about safety. Then about security has to do with practices, control, procedure you have put in place to prevent intentional release or unauthorized access to biological material. That makes a lot of sense. Thank you. And from yesterday, Jibril made mention of a lot of things regarding mitigation measures. And when we are talking about mitigation, we are talking about practices, procedures, methods, and all of that I have put in place, to actually ensure that a particular risk does not happen, or if it will happen at a reduce to the barest minimum, the probability and the likelihood of that kind of occurrences happening at all in the laboratory. And I'm aware also that you learned a lot about risk assessment yesterday, and so I will continue from there. Amongst many other mitigation control measures that was mentioned yesterday, I'm aware that we made mention of substitution and elimination. I'm aware that we made mention of engineering control, we mention of administrative control, practices and procedure, and then this is personal protective equipment. I'm very sure many of you use personal protective equipment in your various facilities. And when we are talking about personal protective equipment, there are devices or materials that you use to protect yourself from direct exposure to biological hazard. And so, yes, you can have it in form of goggle, have it in form of laboratory coats, have it in form of glove, and then some have it in form of face shield, have it in form of air cover, and all of that. So this prevents you from direct exposure to biological agents within the laboratory. Okay, so I will proceed. Okay, so yes, we have talked about different mitigation measures yesterday, and then I'm starting on that note again today. So there are advantages and disadvantages when it comes to each of these mitigation control measures. And for elimination or substitution, it helps you to quickly, as an advantage now, remove or immediate reduction of risk because you are removing it entirely. So when you're talking about elimination, you're talking about, okay, this particular organism, I don't have the containment facility to handle it. So I'm not even going to handle it at all. I'm not even going to isolate it. So you're eliminating the possibility of that risk happening. And then when you talk about substitution, you may be talking about vaccination. You may be talking about, oh, yes, I'm aware that quite a number of us are taking COVID-19 vaccine, yellow fever vaccine at one point or the other. What you did that time is a substitution. You have only substituted the non-virulent strain of those viruses, the virulent strain of those viruses with the non-virulent ones, so that you are protected. You have antibody against them. So in case there's an outbreak or you get exposed to such, you are protected. So that serves as a form of substitution. So what is the disadvantage? It's not always available or possible. Yeah, it's not all viruses that have a vaccine. Yes, there may be a lot of myths and legend about them, but yes, just as we know, a lot of research is still ongoing, and there's still a lot of viruses that don't have vaccine, and a lot of new viruses that are mutating every day that don't have vaccine. So it's not every time you have vaccination against them. Okay, so let's go to engineering control. When it comes to engineering control, it's very efficient, of course, and another thing that it helps to contain the hazard as fast as possible, prevent it from happening. A sample of engineering control is about safety cabinet, very efficient once it is up to date in terms of certification. Yes, and then a form of disadvantage is costly, complex, and training is required. in order to ensure that you're able to make a good use of engineering control. And then, of course, maintenance is also very important. This are as disadvantage. At the long run, you realize that these really disadvantages. By the time you weigh the risk and benefits, you realize that all these disadvantages we are mentioning may not necessarily be a disadvantage. Maybe we need to go extra mile in order to protect ourselves and protect our society. Okay, another thing is administrative control, management communication of expectation, and of course, disadvantage, indirect approach, primarily addresses human factor. Yes, administrative control is mainly targeted against human factor that may get us exposed to any form of risk, biological risk within the laboratory or within the health facility. Now we are using the laboratory as a point of focus because that is where we are coming from. However, biosafety and biosecurity goes beyond laboratory. It goes to the entire healthcare setting, and of course, there's aspect of field biosafety and field biosecurity as well. I just need to put that out there so that when I'm mentioning laboratory, I'm just